Hi everyone, my name's Nyree and today I'm going to be chatting with Drew, who is a first year student on the music production degree course at Spirit Studios. He's also the frontman and lead guitarist of Manchester-based band Rosellas. I hope I've said that right, by the way. I didn't actually.
In front of it, which is the key thing, man. Everyone
Yeah,
just puts that in front of
probably should have checked that before we started, but
it.
anyway.
That was sound. Round money.
So yeah, thank you for sitting down with me. I know we've been trying to organise this for a while, so it feels like a big breakthrough that we're actually doing this.
Yeah, it's all right, man. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. So I thought it'd be good to start with, just to get you to describe the band, a bit about the band and the kind of music that you make, for anyone that's not familiar with
Yeah,
it.
sure. So we're a five piece. I play lead, like you said. There's another lad who plays rhythm. We've got keys, bass, and drums. We just play guitar music. I wouldn't really always brand it as like indie because some of the stuff we do is like a little bit poppier, and some of the stuff we do is a little bit more. Don't want to say like psychedelic, but it kind of like has elements of stuff from that in, because we all listened to like a load of different music when we were growing up. But it falls under the bracket of guitar music. And
Yeah.
we got together in I think summer 2019, like July 2019, and got our first gig under our belt in about September of that year, and then we put a couple of EPs out at the end of that year, and then up till now, I think we've got about 21, 22 songs out on Spotify, something like that. So we've released a fair bit in a short amount of time, in the form of like EPs and singles and stuff like that. And there's like a load of demos and whatnot on SoundCloud. But for us, it's mostly about churning out material as quick as possible because I write the tunes along with the other guitar player.
Yeah.
We've got that many tunes beating around the bush that don't want to just sit on them and end up throwing them in the bin. So
Yeah.
yeah, we put out a fair amount of stuff, and we've got a fair amount of stuff also yet to come out. So yeah, it's good. And the fact that we got keyboards, like the guy's sick. He's so good at playing piano, so it gives
Yeah.
us like a proper whole other dimension to music. Like a lot of indie rock is just straight guitars and just blowing your head off right at the front in the speakers, but the keys gives it a bit of dynamic range.
Yeah, definitely. And a bit more of a, I don't know, like a softness.
Yeah, it does, man. Like there's an EP we've got out called Slow Dance, which granted is nothing like what we sound like now, but at the time when it came out, it was like just some weird songs we had sort of batting around, and we were like, yeah, sorry, that'll go together, that'll go together. Put them on like a 5-track EP. But the keyboard player like really came into his own on that 'cause it was dead soft, and he's like a jazz classically trained piano player who could like do all these little bits and all these little runs.
Mm.
And it was just like a little bit of an experiment for us to see like what we could get away with before people turned around and they were like, nah, mate, that's just too weird. But yeah, I think we got away with it. But you're right, it does bring like a bit of a softness to it.
Yeah, I love that. And I know you all do, obviously you have part-time jobs and some of you are studying alongside.
Mm.
I did mention in the intro bit, you're a student at Spirit Studios. I wanted to ask you, what made you want to study at Spirit, and also particularly music production?
I think mostly because since I did music in like GCSEs in high school and music tech at A level, and we had like a Mac suite in the school where we used to all like piss about on GarageBand and stuff like that, and I found it like dead fun when I was in like year 10, 11, and then I was lucky enough for my parents to get me some software when I was old enough, and got my hands on it myself, and then I just started meddling about in my room and was like, you know what, I'm actually half decent at this. Like I started making a few beats and laying down some guitars, and then after I finished my A levels, like I just took a couple years to work because I never really pictured myself going to uni purely because of like the student loan and the debt and all that. My sister did it. I've got an older sister.
Yeah.
She was just like living off pot noodles and stuff, and I was like, nah, hello, I'm not. I don't fancy that. But after a couple of years of working, I can't like the band started getting a bit more serious, and I wanted to start creating music like more and more every day. And I realised that by working, whether that be part time or full time, a proportion of my mind is always going to be dedicated to that. And I thought if I started a course at uni in something that I had an affinity with, which was the music production side of things, coming from like the self teaching garage band and all that, like every day of the week would just be focused on music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I'd be able to come home from uni, carry on with music. Next day I'd be going to uni, doing music. It's just kind of turning my whole week into music instead of
Yeah.
it being like bloody Marks and Spencers one night and fish and chip shop the other night. I was running two jobs at once in a fish and chip shop and operations department in Marks and Spencers. It was dead, man.
Oh my
Worst
God.
Christmas of my life.
That's like the reality. I feel like that is the true behind the scenes of like a musician's life.
Absolutely.
At least to start with, anyway. I think that's how
The
most people.
guitarist is still a chef now. I mean, obviously everything's closed at the moment, isn't it? But he works at a gaff up in Wilmslow, cooking everyone's posh breakfast and stuff like that. So yeah, we've got a bit of an eclectic backlog going on.
I did wonder as well. I think coming at it, coming at uni after having a bit of a couple of years to sort of find like a passion that you're really interested in and to wanting to study that. I think that's so great because you're coming at a course instantly with that drive behind you. Because I think a lot of people follow the uni or school to uni route because that's just what's done by most
Yeah.
people, and it might be expected by your school for that to be your path. But yeah, I think it's really great that you took that time to make sure that you were going to do something that you're passionate about, and I think that affects your whole university life really, because you're
It
coming
does.
out
It
with
definitely does. In our high school, especially, and I know like a lot of my peers had the same thing. They'd always say, like university is not the only route. You can go and do this and you can go and do that, but it's sort of like it's just traditionalized that much that as soon as you come out of A levels, you go into uni. Especially if you're doing like maths, history, law, science, like anything like that. Everyone just goes straight into uni. And I thought to myself, if I'm not like I was pretty smart in school. I got decent grades and that, and I tried, but I never found it properly engaging. You know
yeah.
what I mean? I never sort of like sat in history thinking like, wow, I want to write essays for the rest of my life. This is ace. You know what I mean? I just thought, stop this. I want to go play the drums in the music room. So when it got to the end of A levels, I was like, I was originally going to get a job in like a music shop in town or something, and
Mm.
like fix guitars and stuff. And then I just realised like every single lad that comes out of music college just wants to do that because it's like easy. And if you can restring a guitar, you know what I mean. You're fighting with like 500 other lads for like one job or girls. But yeah, I don't know. It was called. It was sort of like I knew I always wanted to do music in whatever capacity, whether that be a producer in a band or be a teacher or something like that. I know that my life is going to end up in music in some degree. But as the band like started getting more serious and I got better at making tunes and producing, I thought to myself like, why not just learn how to do it actually properly? And then you get the other benefits with going to uni, like it's facilitated moving out of my house, living in my own apartment where my mum can't tell me off for mixing tunes at 2 in the morning. You know what I mean? Like you have your own space, and I just thought like it was a bit of a necessary step.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And I guess you've got the facilities that go with it, like studio space, and the structure that goes with tutorials and things like that, and getting critique and feedback from tutors, which is great. You obviously don't get that when you're on your own unless you
Don't.
build your own community.
Yeah, you don't. That's a
But
good point to be fair, because that's something
yeah,
I noticed from Spirit. Like all the tutors I have, they're always saying like, you know, if you're working on anything, send in your tunes. Like, we want to hear what you're doing. We want to give you
Mm.
advice. Blah de blah. So I send some stuff in, and I get back like proper, you know, like long-winded answers of like good advice. You know what I mean? And I think like, wow, you've actually sat there, listened to my song, and I know it's the job, but still, you know, they've got to be a kind of like giving person to be able to do that. And if you're not in a university environment, you don't get that unless you pay. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You could go to a producer and be like, "What do you think of this, mate?" He'll be like, "Yeah, it's all right, but give me 50 quid and I'll tell you what's wrong with it." You know, at uni, I get like, we are essentially paying for it already with the tuition fees and that. But you're right; it's that environment that you're in where, you know, everyone's learning, and then there's people that have learned that are teaching people how to learn.
Yeah, definitely.